conference.
I
I'm super
guess.
excited to welcome on board our panelists who will be speaking to the topic building healthy relationships through emotional intelligence and assertive communication. We've had the first session, so this is an extension of that same topic, but however, fresh perspective from, of course, fresh speakers too as well. So I'm looking forward to the engagement that will be happening afterwards, especially in the comment section and the chat box. I'll be putting my eyes there to see what people are saying. If anything resonates with you that the speaker says, give them some reaction in the chat box so that we know we're staying engaged with you as well. And if there's any question that comes up while they're speaking or something that you really need clarity on, and in order not to forget, put them in the chat box. I'll keep my eyes there and make sure that I bring it up for the speakers. We're going to be speaking for about 35 minutes, and then we'll have a shorter Q&A session because we've cut out from the time that we've been allotted to do this. But in no particular order, I will be introducing my panelists. One of my panelists is in Israel at the moment, and she's unable to join because of some things that are going on in that part of the world where she is. So she might join us later. Whenever she does join us, I will bring her up. But for now, I'll be speaking to my other two powerhouses who I have here. I will introduce them now. So in no particular order, I have Mami Gezi, who I can see right here on my screen. And when I asked her what would be the best way to introduce you, and she just said, I'm an enabler. And I felt like that was so beautiful. But however, to just add up is that she's had quite a number of experience across Africa and multiple industries. And she's done such an amazing job that I can't wait to hear her perspective today. Please help me welcome Mami Gezi. Awesome. I love the Queen wave, by the way. Okay. And then I have Eram, who is a founder and manager of Tive Hope Sanctuary in North Laboni. She holds a master's in pastoral care, and she's done such an amazing work, and she has specialized training in temperament-based counseling. So please help me welcome Irama Akast. Okay, so starting off our conversation, I have a couple of questions that I hope will flow in as we go along and explore more as we talk about building healthy relationships through emotional intelligence and assertive communication. And my first question goes to Irama, and it is, what would you say are the components of of building a healthy relationship?
Thank you,
And of course,
Maureen.
feel free to jump in, Mami, if you
Yeah,
want to.
thank you, Maureen. I'm just recalling Miss Genevieve talked about collaborative approach. Miss Amma asked, why does it matter? We have Miss Sika who said growth mindset, and Miss Yawa who said cooperation and compromise. All these are part of components, but what I will be doing with you today is just breaking and going into the micro details so that we can actually contextualize and actualize and work with it. But I must say something, relationships are not static. It is an organism. When we have that mindset, it helps, because what we are doing here at Hemaa today, it's not an event, or it should not be an event. Because the truth of the matter is it needs to grow, relationships grow. So we have to be intentional, we have to be committed, and we have to be very consistent. So I am really hoping that today is information day, but we're going to go away and work with it because it needs work. No relationship just thrives with knowledge in our heads. It needs to be actioned. It has to be seen in action. Okay, so I'm really hoping that that would flow. Okay, first of all, to understand the components, we need to understand our temperaments. The reason being that they are innate, they are God-given, because all information that we receive today and future information will filter through our temperaments. For example, I remember Miss Yawa was sharing with us her natural disposition of a melancholic facial expression. She spoke fast-paced without breathing. She was a book reader. She loved cerebral conversation. That's a melancholic temperament right there. So I think will be important in the future, because that's a whole topic on its own, to go away and understand who we are, because information that we get today, tomorrow, next week will be filtered through our temperaments. Okay, so I'm going to just share the components with you. These components address primarily all relationships, okay, both the intimate, the platonic, and the professional relationship. So please, I would just encourage you, adapt it to suit. I'm just going to give you all the general components. So please adapt it to suit, so that it's not just for intimate, or it's not just for platonic, or it's not just for professional. The first one I'm going to share is communication. Open, honest, respectful communication is essential. That is where most of us struggle. We talk, but many times we don't communicate effectively. When we communicate, we should feel comfortable expressing our thoughts, our feelings, and our concerns without fear of judgment. Okay. And this can be done in a safe space. A safe space is when it's non-judgmental, non-defensive, active listening. And then the idea is looking forward, solution-oriented conversations. Okay, this is the kind of healthy communication that we need. The second one is trust. Trust forms a pivotal pillar in any relationship. It involves being reliable, keeping promises, being honest and transparent. In fact, there's a difference. Being honest is I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you. Being transparent is I'm telling you all the truth, even the bad ones, because I can be honest and not be transparent. I can tell you some and leave some. But being honest and transparent is so, so key. Okay. Some already have some trust relationships. If you do have it, hold on to it, because trust is so fragile and is easily broken. And it takes a lot of work, consistency, and time to mend or to heal. Okay, respect. The next one we're going to go. So we have communication, we have trust, and we have respect. What is respect? We all need respect. Okay, respect ourselves and respect others. Appreciating commonalities, setting boundaries, understanding our value system includes appreciating differences and treating each other with kindness and consideration. So here I respect you, but I have to respect myself, and I have to respect you as a person. Even if we have commonalities or we have differences, there has to be that mutual respect. There has to be support, primarily support, not just emotionally, but physical, financially, whatever the relationship requires, there must be some support. Okay, we should also encourage each other's goals, ambitions, and provide comfort during difficult times, because difficult times will come. They do come. Conflict resolution. Disagreements are natural in any relationship. I wish we could wave it away, but unfortunately we can't, because we are imperfect people in a broken world. But healthy relationships need to address conflicts constructively. Okay, they will come. It's how we deal with it that matters. We must listen to each other's perspectives, not in an attacking and antagonizing way, but as I said, in a way to receive and think through with solution oriented from the other person's perspective. Okay, we can just express our displeasure. We have to. Okay, but it is how we express our displeasure that matters. And then at the end of the day, we need to find compromises. Okay, as I said, we are not perfect, so we need to compromise. You give and you take, and you come to a middle ground. Okay, and then you find a way forward so you can move on, because if you have a conflict and it's just not resolved, it's very difficult to move on healthily. Okay, quality time, okay, it's a bonding time. Even companies do bonding, employee bonding times away. It's a way to get to know people, because we are very perceptive as human beings. So many times we perceive people to be whatever we think they are. But when you find time to bond, you realize that you pick here and then, you realize that, oh, okay, he wasn't that bad. She's not that bad. So it's important that we engage in some bonding exercise, and it also promotes nice and healthy memories, enhances connection, and then for the intimate ones, and also give intimacy to the couple. Okay, my favorite, boundaries. Establishing and respecting personal boundaries. So key. Boundary is the line that I will not allow others to cross. How I want to be treated, how I expect to be treated. This also includes understanding our limits and those of others. Okay, so setting healthy boundaries for ourselves is so key in any relationship. Being an independent person, an individual in a relationship. So when you're in a relationship, you don't have to lose your individuality. It's very key that you maintain your individuality as a person, as an individual, yet in the unit, in the relationship. Okay, so being together as a unit is important, but maintaining your individual identity is also important. It allows for personal growth. It allows for independence. It allows for personal boundaries. Okay, because this helps us to be better as individuals. So when we come together as better people. So it's so important. Affection. It talks about the love. When it comes to this, will be more for the intimate relationship, because in affection we have to understand our love languages and that of the other person. Okay, this could include verbal affirmations, physical touch, acts of kindness and services, quality time, whatever works for the person, because that helps to create, again, it helps to create a bond. It helps to create cement the relationship. Okay, shared values and goals. Two cannot walk unless they agree. We cannot walk together on different paths. So we must have shared common values. It's not to say, as I said, that you lose your identity as an individual, but we must, at the end of the day, a relationship must have common values, common goals that both or all people are working towards. It's very key. You have a future that you're all working towards. There must be alignment in the relationship. Okay. Adaptability. How easy are you to adapt? Some temperaments adapt easier than others. Like, for example, a phlegmatic will adapt so easily. So will the sanguine. Melancholics and cholerics take a little bit more time to adapt. So times and seasons happen to us all. Life is full of changes. And one's ability to adapt is so key, because that is what will help you to navigate through challenges together. The willingness to be flexible is so key, because when one is so static and so stuck in their ways, they are unable to grow, they are unable to mature. And the truth of the matter is, when you're so stiff and you can't bend, you are going to break. Okay, so adaptability, the ability to adapt, is so key. Forgiveness. Mistakes are inevitable. We are imperfect people in a very broken world. We need to validate the emotional hurt. Okay, we need to assess the action. I remember Miss Yawa talked about the different kinds of relationship. You need to put value on the relationship. Do you just ignore it and let go because it's not such a big deal? Do you assess the action? Is it an unmet need? Is it an expectation that was not met? Is it a deliberate action to hurt me? You need to assess this, the hurts a little bit. Okay, and then when you have assessed that hurt, then you decide how you forgive. When I say how you forgive, you can decide to let go without confronting and then just move on. And some relationships needs confrontation. You need to, when I say confrontation, you need to deal with it. You need to be assertive. You need to speak about it. You speak about it respectfully. You speak about it in the sense that I was hurt. You did XYZ and that hurt me. So you're talking about you. It's as Miss, you're not attacking the person. It is how that action made you feel. So then you forgive. So after you have spoken about it, then you decide to make, because forgiveness is an intentional effort. It's not to say that the fact that you talked about it, the hurt is gone. The emotions may be there, but the action of moving on is intentional, is purposeful. Okay. So I've talked about 11 major components. I talked about one, I talked about communication, trust, respect, support, conflict resolution, quality time, setting boundaries, an individual in the relationship, affection, our love language, values and common goals, and ability to adapt. And then last but definitely not the least is our ability to forgive and to move on. It is in the forgiveness and moving on that we learn as an individual, we grow, we mature as an individual in the relationship as well, because then you get to know what happened. Maybe you won't do that again, or maybe you get to learn the other person. You learn a little bit more about the other person, so you know how to behave, or you know how to manage the person better. So it's in
Yeah.
this forgiveness that we grow, and that it helps the relationship to grow if it's actually dealt with effectively. Okay,
Sure.
we
Thank you
need.
so much, Aram. I will come back to you and get
Thank
more
you.
thoughts from you. However, I want to have the other speaker put in
Thank
her
you.
input as well. Mommy Casey, are you on the call? Hi, Mommy.
Hello. Hi, Maureen. I'm right here.
Yes. Okay. So I was gonna ask you based off on what Aram's just shared and linking it up to does emotional intelligence and assertive communication complement each other, or are they independent of each other?
Thank you. Good afternoon to everybody that has joined us on this panel discussion. We're very excited to have you, and I'm definitely grateful to have sisters who want to learn together. Thank you very much, Irama. That was super insightful. I was like, whoa, that's really, really insightful. Thank you. To your questions, Maureen, I was wondering why we actually put assertiveness together with emotional intelligence, and thinking, must you necessarily be assertive, or must you be emotionally intelligent before you are assertive? I'll rip them apart. Let me just say from the practice that I do that I know very assertive people who can be a bit in your face and not necessarily able to read the room. Okay, so in the same way we misunderstand being confident and being assertive, they are synonyms. Assertiveness for me is required to first, as Irama said, set boundaries. Okay. Assertiveness is required for self-discipline as well. Assertiveness is required to ensure that we move in the direction of the interests of the parties in this relationship where communication is a base. Now, when it comes to emotional intelligence, one of my favorites, it is about understanding first who you are. Who are you? Who is Mami? Irama spoke about temperament. I will add on to that to talk about your values. What are the things that are most important to you? So you're dealing with others, you are in a team, you are in a group, you are in a space where you're dealing with other people, or even across, like on this conversation right now. Emotional intelligence will let you understand that you must first know who you are and understand the needs of the other party or parties in the communication space to be able to address everybody's needs. So one of the things that require a lot of emotional intelligence is understanding yourself. Because I always say that if you don't know what you stand for and what's most important for you, anything goes. And you don't want to be that kind of woman. You don't want to be a woman where anything goes. That's how anybody treats you anyway. So you being assertive without being emotionally intelligent can come off as you being spiteful. And in the space of our social upbringing and our cultural space, we have a lot of very confident and assertive women who sometimes, based on the history of how women have been treated, how women have been marginalized, try to come off without first understanding the emotional currency of the space. So for me, the most important thing will be to understand yourself, understand the people you're dealing with or the other person in the communication space. B, understand that your being assertive does not have to be disrespectful. Your being assertive does not have to trample on the needs of the other people. So yes, both are required, but instead of one overshadowing the other, I'll look at them as complementary values that as women, we need to imbibe in our everyday dealings with other people, our teams and groups that we work with, so that we can have some sort of harmony, even if it's not a full harmonious environment. So Maureen, that's my take on that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I love that you talked about the history of treatment for women. And I wanted to pull us back to that conversation on foundational gaps or mishaps that happens with communication. And I hope that we'll have some real life examples if you're vulnerable enough to share. It's the fact that there are certain things that happen to us when we're a certain age, especially those formative stage of our lives, that kind of determine the way that we present now. So I wanted you to talk more on that foundational mishap that happens with communication as a whole, and how that then translates to the other bits of our lives and in the ways that we present.
Good. Thanks, Maureen. So if anybody knows me or has been in any space with me, the person will tell you that Mame does not lack ability of expression. So this is how I presented in my corporate life early days. I'm sitting around the table. I remember being part of an all-female team at first, where the only male on the team was the boss. We'll go for weekly meetings, and my boss will say things about my colleagues, and they're just seated, they're just looking on. And this is me sitting there, why are you not talking for yourself? He's not right. He's talking to you in a way that he shouldn't. This is a professional space. I have all these arguments going on in my head. And I'm watching the people, they aren't saying anything. And I'm like, hell no, I'm all happen. I have to up and defend the womanhood, So this is me, Monday after Monday, talking for my colleagues, like, oh, say no, oh, boss, no. And if there was a thought that we had and I could read in the room, thanks to my psychology background, and I had picked up in conversations, in between work, and people were unable to bring it to the table, you find me to be the one. I am quick to say that, well, yes, sir. Agree with you. I understand where you're coming from, but this is what we think. So I'm always the voice that's talking for people, be the defender of the massive. Now this went on for a while. So you can imagine that with time, it had become my tag. Like, Mama will get up and defend, Mama will get up and speak up, Mama will get up and do this, Mama will get up and do that. Let me shock you. The people that I thought I was standing up for actually didn't like it. They were not in agreement that I was always speaking for them. They didn't like that I was the one that was always putting out my voice and doing, they didn't really like it. So fast forward, a couple of years into my career, I find myself for over a decade being the only woman on the team of men. Now, again, I thought that if I am not heard, they will think that I was just brought here for the statistics. So beyond the intelligence and everything, I always had an opinion, and I would share my opinion freely, asked or not. Growth has happened, Maureen. I have grown. I have seen things. I have learned. I may not have the time to share a lot of the stories, but this is me at the C-suite table. I'm telling you, I am more than comfortable in my skin and out of my skin to sit at a table and listen to 100 people speak, whether they're speaking truth or not. I can shut up and watch and just listen. I have been able to learn that, but I didn't just appear. I didn't just become. I have gone through things, betrayals. I have gone through getting punished in court for speaking up. I've gone through, it's not a process of shutting me up, but I realized that you don't always make a point or be visible by what you say. It's not the only way we present. It's not the only way to be present. There are a lot of wiser and more mature ways of being present. And when you're called and you speak, you then carry a lot more weight rather than everybody is speaking and you have an opinion, so you share. Somebody says something that's not true, you put them in their place. Yes, there's a place for that. But honestly, it is not the best way to put forward your thoughts and your opinions and even your defense for the so-called defenseless, wherever we find ourselves. So yes, I have sat where a team has bashed me for 3 hours, and I just sat like this and listened. And my response was, "Oh, thank you so much. Feedback is such golden opportunity to learn. I'm grateful." Oh, you think it wasn't fun? But today, anybody at that table you speak with will say that, "Oh, we said this and this and that." So what did mommy say? She said nothing. You cannot misquote silence. You understand? And it doesn't give credence to what they said because they knew that what they were saying was not true. So I have learned and grown towards the space of understanding myself better, understanding the people I'm dealing with. That's where EI comes in. And now I'm able to determine when to speak, when to defend, when to do things to defend other than being very vocal. Yes.
Thank you so much. I truly love that example. And thank you for being vulnerable enough to share your story with us. I find that when people are able to share their story, people are able to resonate better because then you can see yourself in certain things and in the ways that people have presented in the past. And I'm truly happy that you got to share that with us and to show the growth that you're already experiencing in the ways that you present yourself. I will move over to Iram. And the reason why I want to ask you this question is because of your psychology background. And of course, as a temperament coach or treatment person or counseling person, Mami mentioned something about self-awareness. And I know that that's something that's really taught when you're doing temperament check and counseling and all of that. My question to you is, how do you then bring in, we have 8 minutes, how do you then bring in that strength-based approach that balances the biopsychosocial, spiritual, and of course cultural balance in the life and in the perspective that we bring to the people that we meet on a daily basis? How do we then balance all of that? Because you're supposed to be presenting at different times. I remember going for an interview and they asked, when do you bring your different personalities into the room, your extroverted and your introverted self? I'm interested to hear what your comments are in this regard, Mal.
Hi,
Aram.
thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Maureen. I'm Jen, Mommy, bless you. I really enjoyed what you were saying. And as you said, you opened up so well. You can't balance something you don't know. I think we started from the perspective or the point that you must know yourself, okay? Every human being is biological. I'm female, I'm black, I'm tall. I mean, all those things come in. Innately, I have temperaments, I have temperament weaknesses, I have strengths. But it is in knowing that, for example, I'll just give you an example. It is in knowing that I'm a female and at some point I'm going to have menstrual a cycle that informs me that at some point I'm going to go through changes, I'm going to develop. So it is in knowing that we prepare ourselves. If you don't know, how are you going to prepare? So it's for me, primarily it's in knowing that we are able to understand our biological factors of who we are, what is ahead of us. Psychologically, we talked about emotional intelligence, emotional regulation, because it is in knowing who I am that I'm able to learn how to regulate my emotions, because that's a psychological factor. The balance is about knowing and then learning how to deal with it. Okay, because we all have weaknesses, we have strengths. So a person has to develop their emotional intelligence skills, period. Nobody's really born. Mami just shared, she has gone through phases. Nobody's really born ready. We all have to learn. That's I said in the beginning that, look, it takes a lot of intentionality, commitment, and consistency. You cannot do this. We can't just get the information, go home, and then put it away and not do anything about it, because it's organic. It's an organism. It grows. We have to grow. okay? And the cultural factors, we must understand the cultural factors in which we are working. I mean, we all, well, not all of us comes from the same place, but we understand that some cultural factors, a woman cannot talk, for example, or hand gestures are not allowed, or it sounds or comes across disrespect. So we have to learn, we have to know. So it goes back to knowing, it goes back to learning, it goes back to understanding, and it goes back to being mature, intelligent enough to balance and manage these things. Okay. And as I said, some temperaments are more prone, as Mami was talking, I'm just saying, yeah, choleric. Some temperaments are more prone to being naturally assertive, not necessarily emotionally intelligent, but naturally assertive. And we'll say it as it is, because they think that, but as you grow, as you get to know, you learn, and then you know when to bring in the balance. Okay. Socially, social, Miss Yawa just shared with us how her social network helped her to say that, oh, the way you present your face, openness to social input, openness to social, safe people. Let me just also be very careful here. We have to have a safe space, safe people who can pour into us, who we can pour into them as well. Okay, very key. So that's our social aspect. Spiritually, look, the Bible says, unless two agree, we cannot walk together. Okay. And it talks about, Ephesians talks about wholesome speech. So we must also understand the spiritual connotations that are coming through. If we are in alignment with our spirituality, then obviously communication is a little bit easier, because we are all from the same background, the same mindset, even within the same, for example, Christian context. One can be more mature than the other. That must be taken into perspective. There must be an understanding. If we have different spiritual alignments, that also has to be taken into perspective, because if one spirituality is against whatever and another, of course, there's a misalignment. So there must be that knowledge where we develop ourselves, we grow ourselves with intentionality, commitment, and consistency, so that we can align ourselves. It is not to say you are losing your individuality, but you're aligning yourself for a common goal. Because at the end of the day, I am assuming that everything we're doing in a relationship must have a common goal, be it platonic, be it professional, be it intimate. There must be a common goal. So I am balancing myself, I am maturing myself, I'm gaining knowledge, I'm developing, because there is a common goal that we all are working towards. Okay. And it is not an event, it's a process, it's seasonal. We must also understand that it's not a magic wand where you just grab the magic wand and it just works. Okay. So we must understand that. So I think I've brought into, because you said that time. So the truth about it, the biopsychosocial spiritual perspective in relationship encourages a very comprehensive understanding of healthy communication. Okay. But by addressing our biological needs, our psychological needs, our social needs, and our spiritual dimensions, we can enhance our communication skills. We can learn to be more fulfilled within ourselves. And it's in our fulfillment within ourselves that we're able to fulfill. You cannot give what you don't have. That is the truth. So we need to learn how to be fulfilled within ourselves, so that we can be resilient in a relationship or relationships, however it may be. So Maureen, in the time frame, this is what I'm going to add to it. I hope it's been useful.
Yes, it has. It definitely has. Thank you so much. I will have you do your last words in 1 minute or less. Yes, in 1 minute or less. But I want you to quickly touch on how you have been able to resolve conflict in the past, and then just wrap it up in.
Okay. How I have been able, I'll give you a very recent one. It's actually a very personal one. So there was a differences in terms of cultural backgrounds. There's in fact very cultural backgrounds. So I had to active listening. I'm usually I had to learn over the period to be not defensive. I had to learn to actively listen and be prepared. I think you have to come with a mindset of solution oriented. If you don't come with a mindset, or I didn't used to come with the mindset of solution oriented, but I have learned over the years to address conflict with a solution oriented mindset. From that basis, it's easier for me to filter through, because my temperaments are very melancholic, very adamant one, but I have learned. So because I come with that mindset, I open up myself to listen. I open up myself for different perspective. I open up myself for different resolutions and solutions, and I have learned to compromise. That's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you for your time. Mami Gezin, last words from you and how you've been able to resolve conflict as well.
Well, I use what's important for people. You know, I'm an advocate of working from people's values. So if I have a conflict with you, Maureen, what is important to you in this conversation and what is important to me in this conversation? I let everything on the table. I may not be able to go home with all my pebbles, neither can you, but what can we both grab from this table that will not make anybody feel that they've lost? So in the past, in the present, I'm sure in the future, I'm still going to be working with values. If I understand what's important to you, I'm better able to speak to your needs, and you are better able to address mine as well. So I always go for values. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate both of you for coming up here and discussing with us about building healthy relationships through emotional intelligence and assertive communication. It has been an honor speaking to both of you, even though our third panelist wasn't here. It didn't feel like that. We're even short of time, but I appreciate you both for sharing your wealth of knowledge with me. I truly from hearing the different perspectives that you brought on board about being assertive is not being disrespectful, is not about trampling on other people's wants or needs. It's about a self-awareness that comes with yourself. Conflict is solution oriented, and of course conflict too is looking for the values in the things, just as you shared, Mami. Thank you so much. I appreciate. Okay, I don't see any question. However, I saw a comment from Yaga. Thank you, Zoom Master. We're done. I saw a comment from Yaga. Yaga said, a former boss told me that not everyone wants my advocacy, so I should watch how I advocate. That has informed me a great deal. Thank you so much for letting us know that the story that Mami shared actually resonated with you in some ways. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Bye, bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Over to you, MC or Zoom Master.
Oh, Maureen, do we stay on here or we go to a different page?
No, we're here. We're here, people.
Okay.
Here. You stay here. Thank you. Thank you very much, Maureen. Thank you very much. I should give a minute to the other people so the people to join this meeting, right?
Okay, so while they're joining, please tell me what you learned from the session, because you guys are literally pushing me out of the room.
Oh, Maureen. Okay, all right.
Yeah. Did anyone, like, is there anything anyone wants to share? A question, just to give one room for a question if we're waiting for the others to come back. Question, comment, resonating, learnings, that will be helpful. But Celestine, how are you doing?
Maureen, I'm good. It's so good to see you. I'm very well. I'm very well.
I know.
For me, it's the personal bits Irama and Mami shared. I mean, that it is giving me the opportunity to contextualize everything which I go through, and also to have a bigger picture of how I want my relationships to be as I grow, the various kinds of relationship that I want to have as I grow into a bigger woman. So yeah, that's it for me.
You're already a big woman. I don't know why you keep saying this
Bigger
bigger
woman,
woman.
as in your size or as in your what?
I think a mother, wife, that's one.
Dr. So thank you so much for jumping on that, because I'm like, bigger woman, I don't understand. You're already a big woman. Okay, thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. I think the one thing that I've learned truly from this conversations here today is the fact that you don't feel isolated, because you hear the different stories that all the women that we kind of think that their lives are super perfect, and you hear what they share. I know, just listening to all the different stories, and even from what Mami just shared with us on, you know, her perspective at the workplace, I'm like, that has happened to me at some point. So you don't feel isolated, that it's happening to only you. From hearing from other people, it means that we're all in this journey together, and that's really one of the message that Hemaa is about growing together, right? So I'm truly glad that we had this opportunity to share. Thank you. Still waiting for the others, right?
We are more grateful.
Maureen, you have a question in the chat there from Tracy. Sorry, conference chair. That's it. I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Don't worry.
Okay, it says, as a natural choleric, I can really relate with Mami's story. My question is, are there resources that helped you in identifying where to make certain changes? Mami?
And my response in text was yes, definitely. One of the things that have supported me a lot is working with coaches. So I've always been beneficiary of mentorship and coaching. And, you know, sometimes you go into these verbal fisticuffs and come out and you go and pour with your mentor and they're like, girl, sit somewhere, you know, and then they run you through. So mentorship has helped me a lot. I remember in my early days in HR, I had a mentor who was a marketing professional. He helped me a great deal. I've also gone through a lot of coaching. Coaching allows you to bring back, it's almost like resuscitating your life and looking at where can you improve. So I've done a lot of that. I've done a lot of learnings. And I'm even though I am primarily choleric, so my redness is so red, it's not funny. I'm also quite introspective, which is very funny because then people don't understand. So I get to think about my day every day and my week and my month like that. So I tend to bank on what has worked, what hasn't, where are my energies getting dissipated, where am I getting energized? And then I try to balance also. It's quite a lot of work. Like Hemaa said, it is work. And I am still a WIP. I support people on this journey, but myself, I haven't stopped learning. So Tracy, we can work together. It's more than doable. So please reach out to me any day, anytime. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Awesome. Do you want to maybe share your contact on how she's supposed to reach out to you or something? Yeah, I guess that would be helpful.
No, I don't mind popping that in the chat.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, I don't see any questions again.
Oh, have we come in?
Are you okay?
Yes, I just realized. Have you all finished your discussion?
Yes, we are done.
Yes.
We're waiting for
Okay.
your
So I was thinking, oh my